Hey everyone! Ready to dive deep into the world of the Tuxedo? Released on September 27, 2002, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. At first glance, The Tuxedo might appear to be just another early 2000s action comedy with a quirky concept and over-the-top visuals. But beneath its glossy, gadget-packed surface lies a peculiar charm that continues to spark curiosity over 2 decades later. The film is an ambitious fusion of sci-fi, slapstick, and spy tropes, anchored by none other than Jackie Chan, a living legend whose unique style of physical storytelling turns even the most outlandish premises into engaging cinematic spectacles. What makes The Tuxedo extraordinary isn't just the concept of a supersuit. It's how that idea is explored through a character who's anything but extraordinary. And that's where the film finds its most relatable magic. A humble cab driver, a suit with a mind of its own, and a mission to save the world. This is storytelling with flair, delivered at high speed with wild creativity. Set against the sleek, glossy backdrop of modern espionage, the film opens with Jimmy Tong, played by Jackie Chan, a fast-driving, street-smart cabbie who has perfected the art of blending into the background. He's a man without ambition, skating by on charm and quick reflexes, living paycheck to paycheck in a world that barely notices him. But things take a sharp turn when he gets recruited as a chauffeur for the enigmatic Clark Devlin, a man who oozes sophistication and mystery. What Jimmy doesn't know is that Devlin isn't just a rich employer. He's a secret government agent, and his wardrobe includes more than just designer brands. When Devlin is gravely injured in a suspicious explosion, Jimmy is left alone with his employer's prized possession, a high-tech tuxedo with capabilities beyond imagination. Curiosity, naturally, gets the better of him, and soon Jimmy finds himself donning the tux. The moment he does, his body begins moving in ways he never thought possible. Cartwheels, kung fu kicks, acrobatic flips, even hypnotic dance moves. The tuxedo is no ordinary garment. It's an experimental government tool embedded with artificial intelligence, designed to turn any average person into a highly skilled secret agent. Suddenly, Jimmy, who's never even held a gun, is executing combat moves like a pro, blending martial arts with slapstick hilarity in a way only Jackie Chan can pull off. But he's not just playing dress-up, he's now a target, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Thrown into the clandestine world of covert operations, Jimmy is paired with Del Blaine, a sharp-tongued, ambitious rookie analyst played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. Del is determined to prove herself, but she's more than a little skeptical of Jimmy's involvement. What follows is a partnership filled with comedic missteps, unlikely victories, and reluctant respect. Del's analytical mind clashes with Jimmy's chaotic instincts, but together, they form a duo that's far more capable than they appear. Their dynamic forms the emotional core of the film, 2 underdogs rising to meet a challenge that neither of them was prepared for, guided by a piece of technology that both empowers and complicates their every move. Their mission? To stop the villainous Dietrich Banning, the CEO of a global beverage corporation who has devised a sinister plot to contaminate the world's water supply using genetically engineered bacteria. His endgame is domination, not through weapons or armies, but by monopolizing access to clean drinking water. It's a diabolical plan wrapped in corporate greed, and it sets the stage for a global chase filled with high-tech showdowns, rooftop pursuits, and tuxedo-enhanced fight scenes that blend wirework, CGI, and practical stunts into a visual cocktail of chaos and creativity. The idea of fighting corporate tyranny with dance-fueled martial arts may sound absurd, but that's exactly where the film finds its unique rhythm. Visually, The Tuxedo plays like a graphic novel come to life. Slick color palettes, glowing interfaces, slow-motion dives, and camera spins all contribute to the sense that you're watching a comic book unfold in real time. The suit's abilities are cleverly choreographed, from spontaneous moonwalks in front of shocked onlookers to slow-motion bullet dodges that would make Neo from The Matrix nod in approval. The suit itself becomes a character, often taking control of Jimmy's body and forcing him into situations that are both thrilling and absurd. These sequences, though undeniably silly, are executed with such confidence and energy that it's impossible not to be swept up in the momentum. At the heart of it all is Jackie Chan, whose presence elevates the film beyond its cartoonish plot. Even surrounded by CGI-enhanced effects, Chan brings an unmistakable authenticity to every scene. His comedic timing, physical grace, and expressive reactions make even the most unbelievable scenarios feel grounded in some kind of truth. Watching him struggle with a tux that refuses to let him walk normally, or accidentally flirt with women under its automated influence, reminds viewers of the timeless appeal that Chan brings to every project. He doesn't just perform stunts, he tells stories with his body, and the Tuxedo gives him an offbeat playground to showcase that talent in fresh and unexpected ways. Jennifer Love Hewitt, known mostly at the time for her roles in teen dramas and horror films, brings a surprisingly effective presence as Dell. She holds her own next to Chan, delivering a performance that balances wit, frustration, and vulnerability. Her character's evolution from skeptical observer to proactive partner adds a layer of emotional grounding to the film, giving audiences a reason to care about more than just the next action sequence. The chemistry between the two leads may be unconventional, but it works in the context of a story that thrives on opposites clashing, then sinking. What makes the Tuxedo stand out is not necessarily the depth of its plot, but the boldness of its concept and the energy of its execution. It takes a simple idea, what if a tuxedo could turn you into a superhero, and runs with it at full speed. There's something undeniably appealing about watching an average guy stumble through a world of spies and supervillains with nothing but a smart suit and a stubborn sense of right and wrong. It taps into a universal fantasy that maybe, with just a little help, we could all become more than we appear to be. Though critics at the time were less than kind to the Tuxedo, citing its implausible plot and uneven tone, audiences found something enjoyable in its unapologetic embrace of silliness. Over the years, the film has developed a niche following, viewers who appreciate its oddball charm, nostalgic early 2000s aesthetic, and the sheer fun of watching Jackie Chan turn the mundane into the magnificent. It has become a cultural artifact of sorts, capturing a moment when Hollywood was experimenting with East meets West action comedies, trying to bottle the magic of international stars for global audiences. And let's not forget the deeper commentary hidden beneath the laughs and punches. While the film never lingers long enough to make grand political statements, its villain's weaponization of water, a basic human necessity, speaks volumes. It's a reminder that power in the modern world isn't just about guns or money, but control over the things we take for granted. In this way, the Tuxedo may be goofier than most spy thrillers, but its core conflict is surprisingly resonant. It asks, in its own quirky way, who really holds power, and what an average person might do when given the chance to challenge that. Still, the tension between them begins to soften, not through confession, but through shared danger. As the two delve deeper, they discover that Banning is working with Dr. Sims, a disgraced biologist who has engineered a strain of bacteria that, when activated, rapidly dehydrates human bodies from the inside out. The horrifying demonstration of this effect is shown on a helpless test subject, an insect whose body shrivels to dust within seconds. The implications are devastating. If Banning succeeds in introducing this agent into the water supply, millions will suffer, and only he will possess the cure. It's not just evil, it's marketable. This isn't world domination through terror, it's domination through economics. Jimmy and Dell's next mission takes them to a glamorous fundraising event thrown by Banning himself. It's the perfect stage for a covert operation. Dell needs to plant surveillance devices. Jimmy just needs to not mess things up. But as expected, things don't go as planned. The Tuxedo, reacting to music being played at the event, takes over Jimmy's body, forcing him into a hypnotic dance routine that catches the attention of every guest in the room. What should have been a stealth operation becomes an impromptu performance, with Jimmy moonwalking across the stage and breakdancing in a tux that simply refuses to sit still. The crowd is stunned. Banning is amused. Dell is furious. But even in this chaos, opportunity arises. In the middle of his unintended performance, Jimmy catches sight of Banning and his private security detail escorting a mysterious briefcase. The Tuxedo scans it, revealing traces of the dehydration bacteria inside. Jimmy, still under the Tuxedo's rhythmic grip, manages to swipe a keycard off one of the guards without anyone noticing. It's ridiculous, it's lucky, but it works. And in the world of the Tuxedo, that's how espionage often unfolds. Back at the safe house, Dell and Jimmy debrief. She's impressed but still skeptical. She presses Jimmy about his training, his tactics, but he can't answer. He doesn't know how he's doing what he's doing. All he knows is that the Tuxedo is doing it for him. When Dell finally discovers the suit's full capabilities, she's both amazed and disturbed. Technology this advanced doesn't belong in the hands of someone who doesn't understand it. And yet, she sees something in Jimmy, a clumsy sort of courage, a growing sense of purpose. Maybe, just maybe, he can be more than a passenger in this mission. Their progress doesn't go unnoticed. Banning, now aware that someone is getting too close to the truth, accelerates his timeline. He dispatches his top enforcer, a cold-blooded assassin who leaves no trace. Dell and Jimmy become targets. One night, while reviewing surveillance footage, they're ambushed in their own base. Jimmy, barely in control, slips into the Tuxedo just in time. What follows is a high-stakes chase through a construction site, with the Tuxedo flipping, climbing, and kicking with a mind of its own. Jimmy is terrified but determined. Dell, trapped on a collapsing scaffold, is saved at the last second, not by the Tuxedo, but by Jimmy, choosing to trust his instincts rather than rely on the suit. It's a small moment, but a defining one. As the first half of the film races toward its midpoint climax, the pieces are all in place. Devlin remains unconscious, the world remains unaware of the danger lurking in its water, and Jimmy, once a nobody, has become the last line of defense. The Tuxedo may be the tool, but Jimmy is slowly becoming the hero. Dell, too, is evolving. Once cold and methodical, she begins to see the value in chaos, in heart over logic. Together, they're learning to trust not just each other, but themselves. And looming in the shadows, Banning prepares for his final phase. The bacteria is ready, the distribution system is in place, and the only obstacles standing in his way are a mismatched pair of spies and a Tuxedo that refuses to follow orders. The stage is set for the next chapter, a battle that will push Jimmy to his limits, force Dell to risk everything, and reveal just how far the Tuxedo can go in the hands of someone willing to fight not just for survival, but for something bigger. As the mission barrels forward, the stakes rise, and the clock ticks faster with every passing moment. Jimmy Tong, once just a cab driver with a knack for fast turns and fast talk, now finds himself balancing on the razor's edge between impersonation and becoming the real deal. With Clark Devlin still hospitalized and no one else to pick up the pieces, Jimmy and Dell are all that stand between Banning's apocalyptic plan and global catastrophe. The suit might carry the strength, agility, and grace of 1,000 spies, but it's the man inside it who will have to face the storm ahead, and that man is starting to believe he might just be enough. The breakthrough comes when Jimmy and Dell trace Banning's operation to a bottling plant cleverly disguised as a high-tech water purification facility. Using the keycard swiped during the charity gala, they breach the perimeter and begin to uncover the full scale of the villain's plan. Giant vats of contaminated water line the halls, each prepped for global distribution. And at the center of it all is Dr. Sims, the biochemist responsible for the bacterial nightmare, fine-tuning the strain and marveling at his own twisted ingenuity. The bacteria doesn't just kill, it dehydrates organisms from within, a cruel and irreversible process that leaves no evidence, no warning, and no survivors. But Sims is just a cog. The real mastermind, Dietrich Banning, is preparing for the next phase, activation. With world leaders attending his upcoming summit on water sustainability, Banning plans to release the bacteria into local water supplies under the guise of a demonstration. When the sickness spreads, his bottled antidote will become the only salvation. Governments will fold, corporations will bow, and he'll emerge as the savior of a crisis he orchestrated. Jimmy and Dell narrowly avoid detection and manage to steal critical data proving the bacteria's potency and Banning's intentions. But during their escape, everything spirals into chaos. The plant's alarm is triggered, guards swarm the facility, and Dell is captured while covering Jimmy's retreat. Forced to flee, Jimmy is torn between completing the mission or rescuing his partner. For the first time, He must make a decision not guided by the Tuxedo, but by his own heart, and he chooses Dell. The rescue mission is daring and personal. Using the Tuxedo's enhanced abilities, Jimmy infiltrates the compound like a seasoned spy, navigating security systems and dispatching guards with a flair that blends comedy and competence. Yet beneath the surface of his acrobatic stunts and punchy one-liners, something deeper stirs. This isn't about the suit anymore. This is about loyalty, friendship, and the evolution of a man who once lived in the shadow of others. Dell, bound and surrounded, isn't expecting Jimmy to come back. She's resigned to being collateral damage. But Jimmy arrives like a whirlwind, swinging from catwalks, dodging bullets, and disarming guards with the Tuxedo's precision. The moment he frees her is tender and raw. Dell, once guarded and sarcastic, looks at Jimmy not with skepticism, but with admiration. The shift in their dynamic is subtle but powerful. Two lone operatives, one fake and one real, are now a team forged in fire. As they regroup, Jimmy reveals the full capabilities of the Tuxedo to Dell, showing her the built-in interface that stores combat data, surveillance logs, and even health monitoring. The suit is more than just a weapon. It's a supercomputer wrapped in silk. But its most valuable function isn't its power. It's its ability to adapt to the wearer. And now, it's fully attuned to Jimmy's style, chaotic, unorthodox, but fueled by purpose. Their final move takes them to the summit, hosted at Banning's private estate, an architectural marvel of glass, marble, and veiled corruption. The location is heavily guarded, and every guest is a potential target or pawn. Banning, ever the charmer, delivers a speech about unity, health, and the future of water, masking his villainy behind polished words and philanthropic lies. He unveils his latest product, a superwater that promises optimal hydration and resistance to disease. The audience applauds, but beneath the celebration lies a trap. The bacteria has already been added to the estate's water supply, and the countdown to devastation has begun. Jimmy and Dell infiltrate the event separately. Dell poses as a journalist, slipping into restricted areas to upload the stolen data to the authorities. Jimmy, decked out in the Tuxedo, blends in with the waitstaff, though the suit, never subtle, can't resist showing off. As he passes through crowds, the Tuxedo subtly enhances his posture, adds a touch of flair to his tray service, and automatically scans for hostiles. It's a dance of deception and surveillance, all while the clock keeps ticking. The climax arrives swiftly. Dell is discovered while attempting the upload and is taken to Banning himself. He reveals his plan with classic villainous flair, believing victory is inevitable. But Dell, ever resilient, stalls him just long enough for Jimmy to arrive. The confrontation explodes into a multi-layered showdown. Jimmy against Banning's security forces, Dell racing against time to complete the data transmission, and the Tuxedo battling the one force it can't overpower, human will. The fight between Jimmy and Banning's top enforcer is a ballet of destruction. Fists fly, walls shatter, and gravity becomes an afterthought. The Tuxedo turns Jimmy into a one-man army, deflecting bullets, breaking weapons, and unleashing physics-defying martial arts. But even with all its enhancements, the fight isn't easy. Jimmy is outnumbered, outgunned, and starting to fray at the edges. And then, just when it seems like defeat is imminent, the Tuxedo malfunctions. A critical hit damages the suit's internal systems. Lights flicker. Motors stall. Jimmy, now stripped of his mechanical edge, must rely on pure instinct. And that's when the transformation is complete. He fights, not with precision, but with heart. Sloppy, bruised, and breathless, he lands every hit with determination rather than programming. It's raw, human, and deeply satisfying. Meanwhile, Dell completes the upload, exposing Banning's entire operation to the authorities. Video evidence, bacterial schematics, and delivery plans flood the NSA servers. Agents are dispatched. Evacuation alarms blare through the estate. Guests flee in chaos. And Banning, realizing the walls are closing in, attempts to escape via helicopter from his rooftop helipad. But Jimmy isn't done yet. Sprinting through the collapsing estate, dragging a barely functioning Tuxedo behind him, He reaches the rooftop just as the helicopter lifts off. In one final burst of energy, and with the Tuxedo's last ounce of strength, he launches himself into the air, grabs the landing gear, and climbs aboard. The showdown between Jimmy and Banning is short, brutal, and poetic. No fancy moves. No high-tech tricks. Just a man refusing to let evil win. With one decisive punch, Jimmy knocks Banning out cold and seizes the controls. As dawn breaks over the city, the authorities swarm the estate. Banning is arrested, Sims is detained, and the contaminated water is safely neutralized. The Tuxedo, now heavily damaged, is returned to the agency. Its fate remains uncertain, too dangerous to reproduce, too powerful to destroy. But its legacy is cemented. Jimmy and Del stand outside the wreckage, watching emergency crews mop up the mess. For the first time, there's silence. No chaos. No running. Just reflection. Del looks at Jimmy and, with a smile, admits she misjudged him. Jimmy, ever humble, credits the Tuxedo. But Del knows better. The suit may have helped him fight, but it was his courage that won the war. In the final moments, Jimmy is offered a permanent position with the agency. A real badge. A real title. But he hesitates. The world of espionage is seductive, but Jimmy is still that same guy who loves the thrill of the ride, not the weight of the mission. He declines, for now. Instead, he asks Del out for dinner, this time without explosions or disguises. Just two people who survived the impossible. And somewhere, in a high-security vault, the Tuxedo sits, silent, waiting. Because the world may not need it right now. But if it ever does, there's only one man who truly knows how to wear it. In the world of espionage where tuxedos become armor and cab drivers become heroes, it's easy to be dazzled by the explosions, the stunts, and the gadgets. But what truly fuels the Tuxedo isn't the silk or the science, it's the people. Beneath the glimmering surface of this high-octane comedy lies a surprisingly rich exploration of identity, transformation, and the masks we wear, both literal and emotional. At its heart stands Jimmy Tong, played by the ever-charismatic Jackie Chan, whose performance infuses the story with warmth, vulnerability, and a kind of clumsy nobility that sets him apart from your typical action lead. Jimmy isn't a secret agent. He's not polished, trained, or even remotely ready for what's ahead when he stumbles into the sleek, deadly world of international sabotage. At the beginning, Jimmy is just trying to do his job, get from point A to point B, make enough money to stay afloat, and maybe impress a few people along the way with his uncanny driving skills. He's fast, sharp behind the wheel, and charming in a disarming, streetwise kind of way. But under that cheerful, fast-talking exterior is a man who doesn't quite believe he deserves more. He's not chasing glory, he doesn't think he belongs in the room where real decisions are made. That quiet insecurity is what makes his evolution so compelling. When Jimmy inherits the Tuxedo, by accident, by desperation, by fate, it becomes more than just a suit. It's a symbol of everything he believes he's not. Elegant, respected, powerful. The Tuxedo grants him abilities he never imagined, turning him into a martial arts virtuoso, a parkour master, a seductive dancer, a lethal operative. But even as he kicks, flips, and ziplines through one impossible mission after another, Jimmy wrestles with the same question. Is it him, or the suit? What Jackie Chan brings to Jimmy is a beautiful contradiction. A blend of awkwardness and brilliance, clumsiness and courage. Chan doesn't just play a guy in a fancy suit. He plays a man discovering that the real power isn't in the tuxedo, but in the choice to try. Every misstep, every fumbled gadget, every time he panics before a fight. Those moments make Jimmy feel real. Relatable. The humor comes not from mocking him, but from cheering him on as he fumbles toward greatness. His stunts are jaw-dropping, yes, but they're also humanized by that Chan-specific energy. A combination of physical comedy and honest determination. Enter Del Blaine, portrayed with poise and sharp wit by Jennifer Love Hewitt. Del is the classic intelligence agent. Cool, calculated, and used to being underestimated. She's smart, wickedly so, and she carries herself like someone who's had to prove her worth too many times to let her guard down easily. When she first meets Jimmy, she's unimpressed. And why wouldn't she be? He's not who she was expecting. To her, he's an interloper, a wild card in a high-stakes mission that doesn't need more chaos. But as the mission unfolds and danger mounts, something shifts between them. Not a sudden romance or a cliché softening, but mutual respect built through fire. Del's arc is less about transformation and more about revelation. We learn that beneath her perfect posture and analytical mind, she's been navigating the same minefield Jimmy has, only from the opposite direction. Where Jimmy doubts his right to be at the table, Del spent years fighting for recognition in a field that questions her every step. Jennifer Love Hewitt brings a grounded energy to Del. She's not just there to roll her eyes or look glamorous beside Jackie Chan. She's essential. Her brain, her bravery, her ability to think 10 moves ahead. Del doesn't just support the story, she propels it. And when she finally lets herself trust Jimmy, it isn't a surrender, it's a triumph. Two outsiders, very different, finding common ground in the unlikeliest of missions. Then there's Clark Devlin, the mysterious superagent played with suave perfection by Jason Isaacs. He enters the story like a myth, impeccably dressed, effortlessly charismatic, the kind of man who commands a room without trying. Devlin is everything Jimmy isn't, or so it seems. He's not just a spy, he's the ideal spy. When he recruits Jimmy as his driver, there's a brief but telling spark of kindness. He sees something in Jimmy, something others don't. But it isn't until Devlin is critically injured and Jimmy is forced to wear the suit that we understand the deeper connection between them. Devlin isn't invincible. He's human. And his trust in Jimmy, even in his absence, becomes a subtle but powerful thread that runs through the film. Devlin's presence lingers like a guiding shadow, a reminder that legends are made not by perfection, but by purpose. No great villain can be overlooked in a story like this, and Richie Costa's portrayal of Dietrich Banning delivers the kind of cold, calculating menace that makes your skin crawl. Banning isn't a caricature. He's terrifying because he believes he's right. A corporate mogul who disguises his thirst for domination behind the mask of sustainability and philanthropy, Banning represents the very real fear of unchecked power hidden in plain sight. He doesn't rant or rave. He doesn't raise his voice. His evil is soft-spoken, precise, and utterly chilling. And that restraint makes his plan, mass dehydration as a form of control, all the more disturbing. Costa brings to Banning a kind of eerie calm, the kind that implies this villain truly believes he's saving the world. That delusion, paired with his obsession for control, makes every scene with him feel like a time bomb. He's not interested in chaos, he wants structure, order, and submission. And when Jimmy challenges him, it isn't just a physical fight. It's an ideological clash between ego and humility, dominance and decency. Dr. Sims, the twisted scientist behind the bacteria, is another vital thread in the film's fabric. Played with unsettling zeal, Sims is a man lost in his own genius, divorced from morality. His scenes reveal the horror of science unbound by conscience. But more than that, he serves as the mirror to Jimmy. While Jimmy stumbles toward heroism, Sims descends further into villainy. They are opposites, one learning the value of life, the other obsessed with controlling it. Even the supporting characters, like the bumbling NSA techs, the eccentric lab assistants, the uptight agency directors, add color and rhythm to the narrative. They populate a world that feels alive and slightly exaggerated, but never hollow. Their interactions with Jimmy, especially, underscore the central theme of the Tuxedo. The idea that identity isn't about the costume or the title, but about the choices we make when the stakes are high and the odds are stacked. Every character interaction, no matter how brief, is infused with a sense of purpose. The agency director's skepticism toward Jimmy fuels his desire to prove himself. The flirtatious receptionist reminds us of the double-edged nature of charm in espionage. Even the background agents, reacting to Jimmy's mishaps and unexpected victories, serve to remind us that heroism often begins in the most unlikely of places. As the film moves toward its explosive finale, the characters' transformations converge. Jimmy is no longer the man driving others toward greatness. He's the one in the driver's seat, steering the mission toward success. Del is no longer the agent with a backup plan. She's the partner trusting someone else to share the weight. And together, they redefine what strength and intelligence look like, not as separate qualities, but as a fusion of heart and mind. When the tuxedo finally malfunctions and Jimmy has to fight without its enhancements, it becomes the ultimate character moment. Stripped of his armor, he's left with only his instincts, his grit, and everything he's learned along the way. And in that moment, we see the real Jimmy Tong, the man who never needed the suit to be special. Jackie Chan's performance in those final scenes, raw and urgent, taps into something universal. The truth that courage isn't about invincibility. It's about standing up when you have every reason to sit down. And when Dell looks at Jimmy afterward, not with exasperation, but with genuine respect, we see the completion of both their arcs. She believed in skill and planning. He believed in luck and instinct. But they've come to meet in the middle, and it's that balance that saves the day. The tuxedo might be remembered for its action and visual flair, but its true strength lies in its characters. Messy, brave, brilliant, flawed. From the cab driver to the agent, from the villain to the visionary, each one plays their part in a story that isn't just about saving the world, but about learning who you really are when the tuxedo comes off and all that's left is you. On the surface, the tuxedo might feel like a breezy blend of action and comedy wrapped in a high-tech spy caper, but underneath its glossy exterior lies a surprisingly layered canvas filled with subtle nods, visual gags, and cultural callbacks that reward attentive viewers with a wink. These moments aren't just for laughs or flair. They quietly deepen the story, build continuity, and offer playful commentary on the world of espionage, technology, and transformation. From the very opening, there's a sly nod to classic James Bond films, not just in the musical cues or sleek suits, but in the way the film frames Clark Devlin's introduction. The camera glides in as Devlin delivers suave lines and demonstrates impossibly smooth moves, positioning him as the quintessential super spy. But beneath that polished surface lies a gentle parody. The tuxedo itself becomes a satirical device, elevating its wearer to superhero status, suggesting that all the charisma and power we attribute to iconic agents might not be so internal after all. This playful twist is the first of many winks to the audience. And if you listen closely during Devlin's early scenes, the score subtly mimics the classic Bond brass fanfare, only with a lighter, jazzier twist. Composer Christoph Beck adds these gentle musical cues throughout, weaving references that slide just beneath the surface, reinforcing the idea that the tuxedo is both homage and satire, honoring the spy genre while turning it on its head. As Jimmy steps into Devlin's world, his journey is peppered with visual clues that hint at the deeper theme of transformation. Take his apartment, for instance, cluttered, chaotic, full of items that suggest he's a man without focus or direction. But a closer look reveals something interesting. He has multiple watches, a perfectly organized shoe rack, and a mirror with sticky notes arranged like a clock. Time, identity, and perception are recurring motifs throughout the film. It's not just about suiting up, it's about finding control in a world that moves too fast. When Jimmy first interacts with the tuxedo, it's not an easy fit. He fumbles, falls, and fights against its movements. But what's brilliant here is how the film quietly mirrors his struggle with earlier scenes from his driving career. In one throwaway line at the beginning, his friend mentions how Jimmy's talent comes from being one with the car. That same idea resurfaces with the tuxedo. He has to stop resisting and move with it, not against it. The film never spells this out, but the visual storytelling makes it clear. Mastery isn't about force, it's about flow. Del Blaine's character is layered with subtleties, too. She's introduced as a focused, hyper-competent agent, but if you watch her closely during her interactions with male colleagues, you'll notice her body language shift. She crosses her arms, steps back slightly, and often over-explains her strategies, especially when speaking to superiors. These aren't just character quirks, they're silent commentaries on how women in high-pressure, male-dominated fields often feel the need to overperform and understate at the same time. Jennifer Love Hewitt plays these moments without fanfare, letting the performance speak volumes. Another subtle thread that weaves through the film is the use of water, not just as a plot device tied to the villain's plan, but as a symbolic element. The villain, Banning, plans to contaminate the water supply using genetically engineered bacteria, turning the life-giving resource into a weapon. Water, in mythology and literature, is often a symbol of cleansing, rebirth, and truth. Here, it's corrupted, twisted into a tool of control. The film turns this on its head in the final showdown, where Jimmy confronts Banning near the very water source at the heart of his plan. By reclaiming it, Jimmy metaphorically cleanses the story's corruption, restoring balance not just globally but within himself. Then there's the Tuxedo's control panel, a tetchy, sci-fi element that seems purely functional at first. But pay attention to the icons. Each command is represented by classic gentleman imagery: top hats, bow ties, walking canes. It's a cheeky nod to the idea of what society once defined as the perfect man: refined, composed, dominant. The suit literally programs those ideals into the wearer. But Jimmy, with his awkward charm and humble origins, ultimately breaks that mold. By the end, the tuxedo isn't defining him, he's redefining what strength and style mean. There are also some brilliant visual parallels that only become obvious on repeat viewings. Early in the film, Jimmy is nearly fired after a car accident involving a pigeon. Later, during a high-stakes foot chase, the same type of pigeon appears again, this time distracting an enemy just long enough for Jimmy to escape. It's subtle, almost easy to miss, but it serves as a small symbolic echo. Sometimes the same forces that derail us can also save us, depending on how we react. Clark Devlin's personal office has its own treasure trove of Easter eggs. On his desk is a framed black and white photo of an older man wearing a suit nearly identical to the high-tech tuxedo. This isn't explained, but it hints that the Tuxedo project might have deeper roots, possibly extending across decades or even generations of secret agents. Could Devlin have inherited the suit's legacy from a mentor? Or is it a quiet nod to the idea that power, like fashion, always comes back in style? The film also pays tribute to Jackie Chan's legendary career. There are scenes where the tuxedo triggers exaggerated martial arts moves that mimic iconic fights from Drunken Master and Police Story. One sequence even shows Jimmy using a ladder as a weapon, an unmistakable callback to Chan's earlier stunt work. The choreography here isn't just for spectacle. It's layered with references that longtime Chan fans will recognize immediately. And in a moment of pure meta-humor, Jimmy glances at a Bruce Lee poster while nervously preparing for a fight, as if seeking guidance from one master to another. Dialogue, too, carries hidden gems. When Jimmy panics during one of his early missions, he mutters, "I'm just the driver." It seems like a throwaway line, until you realize he repeats this exact phrase later during a moment of clarity, only this time with pride. The words haven't changed, but the meaning has. He's no longer ashamed of where he came from. That line transforms into a statement of identity. Even a driver can be the hero. The villain's headquarters is filled with sharp visual cues. Banning's office walls are decorated with minimalist water-themed art. Rivers, raindrops, aqueducts, all rendered in cool tones. But as Jimmy and Del uncover more of his plan, the art shifts. In the final act, the base's control room is designed to resemble the inside of a water purification tank, with flickering blue lights and metallic walls mimicking fluid motion. The whole structure is a twisted temple to his obsession. Even the tuxedo's own failings hold symbolic meaning. Midway through the film, when the suit malfunctions and forces Jimmy to perform a ballet routine in the middle of a tactical situation, it's more than just comic relief. Ballet, like espionage, requires control, balance, and precise movement. The moment forces Jimmy to embrace vulnerability, grace, and surrender, all qualities he previously saw as weaknesses. And interestingly, it's only after this moment that the suit begins to respond more intuitively to him. Sharp-eyed viewers might also spot recurring background colors associated with characters. Del is often framed in cool blues and whites, reinforcing her calm, analytical nature. Jimmy, in contrast, is surrounded by warm, chaotic reds and oranges early on, slowly transitioning to cooler tones as he finds balance. Banning's scenes are drenched in sterile grays and greens, hinting at his artificial vision of the future. And tucked into the final scenes are some lovely parting nods. During the end credits, a quick montage shows Jimmy back in a tuxedo, not the high-tech version, but a simple, elegant one of his own choosing. It's a full-circle moment. He's no longer wearing power, he is power. The final wink comes when Del offers him a drink, and he responds with a shaken not stirred joke. One last tip of the hat to the Bond legacy that inspired this entire adventure. It's these layered details that give the Tuxedo its lasting charm. Beneath the laughter, the flips, the perfectly timed pratfalls, there's a film that never stops rewarding attention. Whether it's a glance, a color, a line of dialogue, or a pigeon flying across the screen, every moment feels placed with intention. It's not just about dressing up, it's about discovering who you are beneath the layers. And for those willing to look a little closer, the Tuxedo offers more than just action. It offers a masterclass in hidden meaning, told with a wink, a smile, and a perfectly tailored sense of fun. In a movie where a high-tech tuxedo gives its wearer superhuman abilities, you'd expect the production process to be just as wild, and it was. Behind the flashy action sequences, sleek suits, and comedic charm lies a whirlwind of strange facts, on-set chaos, and unexpected choices that shaped the Tuxedo into the film we know today. It all started with a premise so quirky that even Jackie Chan himself found it a little bizarre. At first, he was confused by the idea of a tuxedo that does all the fighting for him. Known for doing his own stunts and showcasing intricate martial arts choreography, the notion of letting a suit take center stage felt almost sacrilegious. But it was exactly this oddity that drew him in. He wanted to challenge himself, not physically this time, but comedically and creatively. Director Kevin Donovan, making his feature debut, admitted that balancing Jackie Chan's signature style with the sci-fi comedy elements wasn't easy. In fact, one of the production's biggest challenges was adapting the screenplay on the fly to fit Jackie's instincts. Donovan would often describe a scene one way, only for Jackie to reinterpret it with physical comedy, making the character of Jimmy Tong less of a spy and more of a clumsy underdog. But that shift wasn't just for laughs. It humanized the story. Jimmy wasn't meant to be perfect. He was supposed to trip, fall, and fumble his way into greatness, and Jackie's comedic timing brought that to life in ways no script could have predicted. One of the strangest behind-the-scenes facts is how the special effects team struggled with the tuxedo itself. The high-tech look was meant to be sleek and minimal, but in reality, the smart suit was a patchwork of cables, sensors, and prosthetics that made filming a nightmare. Jackie reportedly had multiple versions of the tuxedo, one for normal wear, one with motion sensors for CGI scenes, and one rigged for physical stunts. The trouble? Switching between these versions mid-scene often led to wardrobe malfunctions, timing delays, or even bruises. In several sequences, wires hidden under the fabric would tug Jackie into flips and spins, controlled by off-camera puppeteers using a rig system more commonly found in Broadway theater than action cinema. Then there's the iconic water bottle sequence, when Jimmy, now guided by the tuxedo, performs a flawless ballet of martial arts moves with a bottle in hand. It looks effortless on screen, but filming it took over 2 weeks. Why? Because Jackie insisted on doing the choreography practically, without CGI, and that meant dozens of retakes to nail the fluidity while balancing the bottle. In one version, the bottle would fly off. In another, the camera angle ruined the illusion. Jackie reportedly bruised his arm from catching the bottle hundreds of times. The crew even joked about replacing it with a digitally animated prop, but Jackie refused, saying, "If the bottle moves on its own, the suit doesn't earn it." Jennifer Love Hewitt, who played Del Blaine, had her own behind-the-scenes surprises. While most fans know her from romantic comedies or drama roles, The Tuxedo was her first action-heavy film. To prepare, she trained in martial arts and stunt work for weeks, but rarely got to use it. The script shifted heavily toward Jackie's acrobatics, leaving her with only a few key action moments. She later admitted in interviews that she trained more for the role than what ended up on screen. One unused sequence involved her infiltrating a villain's lab solo using a series of acrobatic moves. It was filmed, cut, and later referenced in a deleted scene that never made it past test screenings. Speaking of test screenings, The Tuxedo underwent multiple re-edits before its release. Early audiences were confused by the tone. Was it an action film, a spy spoof, or a science fiction comedy? The studio pushed for a more family-friendly appeal, toning down some of the darker jokes and trimming scenes that explored the suit's origins. One early version included a subplot about the tuxedo being part of a failed military experiment, and Clark Devlin's character was more morally ambiguous. These darker shades were scrapped in favor of a cleaner, simpler story. One of the most bizarre filming days occurred during a scene involving robotic insects, a sequence ultimately cut from the final film. The insects were supposed to be used by the villain to track water sources across the city. The props department brought in remote-controlled mechanical bugs that malfunctioned almost instantly, flying into cameras, crashing into actors, and even short-circuiting during takes. Jackie, ever the improviser, began swatting at them with a rolled-up script, making everyone laugh, until a prop bug caught fire on set. The scene was shelved, but footage of the mechanical insect chaos still exists in production blooper reels. Beneath the slapstick, the tuxedo has its share of controversy, too. Critics accused the film of wasting Jackie Chan's talents by relying too heavily on CGI and reducing his role to a puppet of the tuxedo. Chan himself later said in interviews that he had mixed feelings about the final cut. He enjoyed working with the cast and crew but felt the movie relied too much on effects and not enough on the physical authenticity he was known for. Yet he also acknowledged that it helped him break into more Western comedies, paving the way for other films like Around the World in 80 Days. The casting process itself had a strange twist. Initially, the studio considered pairing Jackie with a male co-star, someone to play the brains to his brawn. But when Jennifer Love Hewitt read for the role, her chemistry with Jackie was so unexpected that the producers changed the dynamic entirely. She brought a sarcastic, high-energy rhythm that played well against Jackie's quieter charm. Off-camera, the two had a playful dynamic, with Hewitt often teasing him between takes while he tried to teach her bits of Cantonese. In terms of filming locations, what looks like sleek, international locales are mostly clever disguises. The villain's headquarters, with its futuristic glass walls and underground labs, was actually filmed in a decommissioned water treatment plant in Toronto. The irony wasn't lost on the crew. Making a movie about water contamination in a place built to purify it added an eerie, meta element to the shoot. Even stranger, the location had no heat, forcing the cast to film winter scenes in summer and summer scenes in freezing temperatures. Jackie performed stunts in ice-cold water more than once, wearing nothing but a thin tuxedo, while crew members stood bundled in parkas just off camera. The soundtrack also holds a few surprises. Composer Christoph Beck snuck in several motifs from his previous work, including cues from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, giving the film an oddly familiar emotional tone during key moments. In one scene, the music rises with such dramatic flair that it feels like something out of an epic fantasy, not a spy comedy. Beck explained later that he wanted the music to take itself seriously, even when the plot didn't, so that the absurd moments would land harder by contrast. Then there's the strange case of the animated storyboard. To help visualize the tuxedo's movements, the effects team created a fully animated short film using stick figures in tuxedos performing elaborate stunts. This mini-movie, which the cast affectionately called Stick Fu, became an internal joke. Jackie loved it so much he used it as a guide for timing his physical movements in one scene. The short was never released to the public, but rumor has it that a copy still exists on one of the original production hard drives. Even the film's marketing carried its own quirks. Posters emphasized the tuxedo, not the plot or characters, and some markets ran with the slogan "Suit up or shut down," which confused audiences who expected a more traditional spy film. In one promotional event in Japan, Jackie performed a live kung fu demo wearing a tailored tuxedo in 90-degree heat, later joking that it was the most stylish way I've ever sweat through a suit. One of the final film's most unexpectedly poignant moments, a slow shot of Jimmy looking at himself in the mirror, wasn't in the script. It was improvised by Jackie, who said it was a rare chance to show the character realizing his own potential. The director loved it so much he shot it from 3 angles and layered it with soft music, turning what could have been a throwaway transition into a moment of genuine self-reflection. It reminded audiences that even the most ridiculous suits can't overshadow the human being wearing them. In the end, the tuxedo may not be the most polished entry in Jackie Chan's filmography, but its journey from page to screen is packed with eccentric creativity, accidental brilliance, and a production team willing to experiment with the absurd. It's a film where fashion meets kung fu, technology meets slapstick, and behind every polished scene lies a story of struggle, laughter, and ingenuity. From robotic bugs to frozen water tanks, from stick figure stunts to deleted subplots, every oddity adds depth to the movie's offbeat charm. The Tuxedo may have stolen the spotlight on screen, but it's the behind-the-scenes madness, the unpolished, unexpected truth, that really gives the film its personality. And for those who love cinema not just for what it shows, but for what it hides, The Tuxedo is a hidden gem wrapped in silk, stitched together with strange choices, bold risks, and a whole lot of behind-the-scenes magic. From the very first moments of The Tuxedo, there's an unmistakable shift in tone. A quirky blend of spy satire, slapstick action, and heartwarming underdog story that dares to merge wildly different genres under one stylish collar. But for all its genre-blending bravado, the film's true strength lies in its key moments, scenes that, while seemingly chaotic or comedic on the surface, carry a deeper weight when examined closely. These are the moments where the movie stops being just a light-hearted Jackie Chan vehicle and becomes something more. A reflection on identity, transformation, and the absurdity of heroism in a world obsessed with image. One of the film's earliest and most revealing moments occurs when Jimmy Tong, still a humble taxi driver, is recruited to be the personal chauffeur of the suave and mysterious Clark Devlin. At first glance, it seems like a setup for yet another odd couple buddy film. But pay closer attention, and you'll see how this scene quietly sets the entire thematic foundation for the film. Devlin's effortless charm, confidence, and tailored perfection aren't just cool. They represent the unattainable standards Jimmy has spent his life observing but never participating in. And the Tuxedo, introduced as a sleek tool of power and poise, becomes a literal symbol of that transformation. The idea that putting on a suit can elevate a person from invisibility to importance is not just a comedic premise. It's a biting critique of how society often values appearance over authenticity. But the moment that truly reshapes the narrative arrives when Devlin is critically injured, and Jimmy, terrified, insecure, and absolutely unprepared, is forced to wear the tuxedo and assume the role of a spy. There's something almost Shakespearean in this twist, reminiscent of stories where commoners are thrust into roles of nobility or danger and must perform to survive. It's here that the movie's blend of comedy and tension hits a unique stride. As Jimmy stumbles through early missions, relying entirely on the tuxedo's AI-enhanced reflexes, we get not just slapstick gold but an exploration of imposter syndrome, told through exaggerated physical gags. Every pratfall, every mistimed punch, is a reflection of Jimmy's internal struggle. A man pretending to be someone he's not, hoping he'll eventually grow into the role. One of the most impactful and bizarre scenes in the film, the infamous water bottle ballet, perfectly encapsulates this duality. On its surface, it's pure physical comedy. Jackie Chan, guided by the tuxedo, evades multiple attackers without spilling a single drop of water. But emotionally, it's a turning point. This is Jimmy's first moment of success, not because he learned to fight, but because he allowed the tuxedo to take over completely. The scene is choreographed with balletic precision, each move fluid, calculated, and visually satisfying. And yet, the audience is left wondering, where does Jimmy end and the tuxedo begin? It's an existential question hidden beneath a comedy routine, and it sticks with viewers longer than expected. Another moment worth highlighting comes during a tense infiltration scene where Jimmy must pretend to be suave and confident at a high-society gala. Dressed in the tuxedo, he glides across the floor, mimicking Devlin's voice, his gait, his confidence. On the surface, it's a humorous sequence, Chan fumbling through elite conversation, mistaking caviar for something entirely different, and struggling to maintain his cover. But the underlying theme is clear: how we perform for others, how image can overshadow substance. It's a quiet commentary on class mobility and the illusion of success, masked behind a scene designed for laughs. The tuxedo, a garment of refinement, becomes both armor and prison, enabling Jimmy to fit in while simultaneously reminding him he doesn't belong. What makes these scenes resonate beyond the comedy is how they invite us to question the cost of transformation. Jimmy's journey isn't just about acquiring skills or confidence. It's about reconciling his true self with the persona the tuxedo projects. And nowhere is that conflict more raw than in the moment he decides to reject the tuxedo altogether. After learning the full extent of the villain's plan, To poison the world's water supply through nanotechnology, Jimmy realizes that heroism isn't about suits or gadgets. It's about standing up, even when you're ill-equipped, afraid, and unsure. This confrontation scene, where he chooses to fight without the Tuxedo's help, is one of the film's most emotionally resonant moments. Stripped of his technological edge, Jimmy reverts to pure instinct, relying on quick thinking, improvised tools, and sheer determination. The physicality of this moment, Chan's bruises, his breathless struggle, his messy, unchoreographed fight, is starkly different from the earlier, AI-enhanced battles. It's not just more human, it's more real. For a film that often leans into absurdity, this raw confrontation gives it emotional grounding. Here, Jimmy isn't a puppet. He's a man facing down an impossible challenge with nothing but guts and a desire to protect. Critical perspectives on this scene have ranged widely. Some praised it for finally allowing Jackie to do what he does best: raw, inventive stunt work without the distraction of CGI. Others saw it as the film's quiet redemption, the moment when a silly concept is justified through character growth. It transforms what could have been a one-note comedy into a genuine underdog tale. More than that, it gives the audience something to root for, not just the cool moves, but the man behind them. Equally significant is the evolving relationship between Jimmy and Del Blaine, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. At first, their interactions are filled with comedic misunderstandings, awkward flirtations, and role confusion. She sees him as incompetent and undeserving, and he sees her as cold and unreachable. But over time, and especially through high-pressure situations, their dynamic shifts. There's a scene near the midpoint of the film where they're hiding in a supply closet, exchanging anxious, half-whispered plans. It's a small moment, easily overlooked, but emotionally potent. The walls come down. Del sees the fear behind Jimmy's jokes, and Jimmy sees the doubt behind Del's sharp exterior. It's the kind of scene that redefines chemistry, not through romance, but through shared vulnerability. This vulnerability continues to echo in the film's final act. After the villain is defeated, and the Tuxedo is returned, Jimmy is offered a chance to become a permanent agent. It's a classic Hollywood ending, but Jackie, true to his character's arc, hesitates. He's not the man in the suit anymore. He's the man who chose to be brave, and that choice is what defines him. The refusal of the suit, even after mastering it, signals growth. It's a rare kind of heroism, grounded not in spectacle, but in self-awareness. Audiences reacted strongly to these moments, even if they didn't always recognize their deeper meaning. Fans remember the fight scenes and slapstick gags, sure, but many also cite Jimmy's character growth as a surprise highlight. Critics, while often divided on the film as a whole, acknowledged that Jackie Chan brought depth to what could have been a hollow role. His ability to express vulnerability, uncertainty, and genuine emotion within the bounds of a high-concept comedy made Jimmy Tong memorable in a way few action comedy protagonists manage to be. And let's not forget the villain, Diedrich Banning. Played with chilling detachment by Richie Costa, Banning is a pharmaceutical tycoon who hides sociopathic tendencies behind a calm, corporate smile. His motivation, while exaggerated, reflects real-world anxieties about corporate greed and environmental exploitation. The moment when Banning reveals his plan, to control the world's clean water supply through genetically modified bacteria, is not just a Bond-style threat. It's a pointed jab at unchecked capitalism and the terrifying power imbalance between corporations and everyday people. The horror of the moment is amplified not by CGI, but by its plausibility. It's a jarring tonal shift, one that forces the audience to reconsider the stakes. Suddenly, this isn't just a goofy spy comedy. It's a reflection of modern fears disguised in tuxedo flair. One of the film's most thematically rich moments comes in the form of a mirror shot. Jimmy, dressed in full tuxedo gear, staring at his reflection. On the surface, it's a simple beat, a breather between chaotic set pieces. But pause and listen. There's no dialogue, just soft music and silence. This is Jimmy's turning point, where he sees not the suit, but himself. For the first time, he isn't intimidated by the tuxedo's perfection. He doesn't flinch or try to pose. He just is. This quiet scene may be one of the least flashy in the movie, but it's arguably the most powerful. It's where the story stops trying to entertain and starts trying to say something real. That worth isn't worn, it's chosen. The Tuxedo may have divided critics upon release, but its key moments reveal a surprisingly thoughtful undercurrent beneath the chaos. Yes, it's packed with gadget-fueled fights, exaggerated villains, and laugh-out-loud absurdity. But it also delivers moments of introspection, emotional sincerity, and biting social commentary. The film asks, what makes a hero? Is it the tools, the training, or the heart behind it all? Each impactful scene, from the comedic to the contemplative, builds toward this question, layering absurdity with meaning. Whether it's Jimmy learning to trust himself, Dell revealing her guarded heart, or Banning unveiling a plan so monstrous it mirrors real-world fears, every moment contributes to a larger mosaic of identity, image, and integrity. So when the credits roll and the Tuxedo is put away, what remains isn't just the memory of cool stunts or funny lines. It's the journey of an ordinary man who discovered that courage doesn't come from a suit, it comes from within. Long before the lights flickered on in theaters and audiences were introduced to the high-tech charm of the Tuxedo, there was a whirlwind of vision, experimentation, and challenge taking place behind the scenes. What looked like a slick, comedic action film on the surface was actually the result of daring creative decisions, ambitious stunt choreography, and a technical team determined to make the impossible seem effortlessly stylish. At its heart, the Tuxedo was always more than just a quirky gadget film. It was a cinematic tightrope act between traditional physicality and emerging digital possibilities, and the production journey itself became as wild and unpredictable as the story it told. The choice to cast Jackie Chan was not merely about name recognition. It was about designing a film that could carry the weight of his unique brand of action storytelling. Known worldwide for his innovative, bone-breaking stunts and his endearing on-screen presence, Jackie was not just the star of the film, he was its gravitational center. But building a film around him came with its own set of challenges. Directors Kevin Donovan and the production crew quickly realized that while the concept of a high-tech tuxedo was inherently silly on paper, Jackie's physical performance had the power to ground it in something real. The key would be in how they merged his trademark physicality with the idea of technology controlling his movements. This fusion led to one of the most intricate production challenges, designing action sequences where Jackie appeared to be guided by the suit, rather than acting on instinct. The idea was to make it seem like the Tuxedo was doing the fighting, not him. This required choreography that inverted his usual process. Instead of moving fluidly and naturally as he would in traditional martial arts sequences, Jackie had to deliberately move awkwardly or unnaturally, then transition into seamless, elegant movements as the suit took over. To pull this off, he and the stunt team choreographed every fight to reflect a battle not just against enemies, but against hesitation. Every punch and kick had to reflect a man catching up to his own body. It was stunt work that demanded not just athleticism but subtlety, and Jackie approached it like a dancer interpreting a new rhythm. The production also leaned heavily on cutting-edge visual effects, especially in scenes where the Tuxedo's abilities surpassed human limitations. One standout moment is when Jimmy uses the suit to perform gravity-defying somersaults while saving Dell from an assassination attempt. These scenes required a marriage of practical wirework and digital enhancement. To preserve the feel of Jackie's authentic movement, stunt teams used intricate rigging to suspend him mid-air, but the visual effects team had to erase the wires and composite-enhanced backgrounds without compromising the clarity or humor of the moment. It was meticulous work, frame by frame blending practical performance with digital polish. Perhaps one of the most technically playful sequences was the underwater infiltration scene, where Jackie had to simulate deep-sea diving while inside a submerged laboratory. Filming underwater is never easy, and this sequence required building custom tanks with hidden airflow systems so that actors could hold their expressions while submerged. Lighting was a particular challenge. Water naturally distorts and diffuses light, so the cinematography team had to experiment with filters and submerged lights to keep Jackie visible without losing the sense of murky tension. Meanwhile, animators added floating debris and microparticles in post-production to heighten the sense of realism, ensuring that even within a silly narrative context, the visuals remained immersive. And then there was the Tuxedo itself, a character in its own right. Designed by costume and effects teams in collaboration, the suit had to be more than just sleek. It needed to suggest embedded gadgetry without becoming cartoonish. The final design featured subtle stitching patterns, hidden zippers, and fabric that reflected light just enough to hint at embedded circuits. Multiple versions of the tuxedo were created, each tailored for different types of movement. Some designed for flexibility, others for rigidity, some with padding for stunt protection, and others with anchoring points for wirework. Jackie's stunt double even wore a slightly modified version with reinforced seams to allow for full-speed flips and rolls without tearing. Behind the camera, Kevin Donovan, making his directorial debut, faced a daunting task, balancing the demands of a big-budget action film with the quirks of a comedy rooted in physical absurdity. His background in advertising brought a visual flair to the project, evident in the way certain sequences are shot with hyper-stylized precision, almost like high-end commercials. This influence is especially clear during montage scenes where Jimmy learns to control the tuxedo. The pacing, the quick cuts, the smooth camera movements all reflect a director used to telling dynamic stories in very short bursts, now stretching that aesthetic into full scenes. Composer Christoph Beck, best known for blending humor and heart into his scores, added another layer of tone management to the production. His soundtrack for the tuxedo walks a tightrope between spy thriller and screwball comedy, using punchy brass sections and percussive rhythms to mirror the film's unpredictable tempo. In scenes where Jimmy is clumsily discovering the tuxedo's powers, the music winks at the audience, matching every stumble with a playful note. But in more intense moments, particularly during the final confrontation, the score takes on a sharper, more menacing edge, grounding the stakes and reminding viewers that beneath the comedy, real danger lurks. The production also had to deal with real-world challenges that shaped the final product. On multiple occasions, set locations had to be shifted due to weather or urban regulations. The rooftop fight scene, originally planned to be filmed in New York's financial district, was relocated to a constructed set in Toronto when permissions fell through. Production designers built a near-identical replica rooftop, complete with faux skyline, giving the illusion of altitude and danger without ever leaving the safety of a soundstage. That illusion was made seamless through clever editing and digitally enhanced cityscapes, ensuring continuity between on-location and set-bound scenes. Interestingly, Jackie's insistence on performing his own stunts sometimes caused tension with insurers and production schedulers. One particular stunt, in which Jimmy surfs down a staircase railing while kicking out henchmen, was considered too risky and was initially scripted to be performed by a stunt double. Jackie, however, reworked the choreography until it was safe enough for him to perform. That shot, done in one take, ended up being one of the most replayed moments in the film's promotional materials. It became a symbol of Chan's dedication, and a reminder that even within a digitally assisted production, there remained a physical heart beating at its core. Another fascinating detail was the film's use of color and lighting to signal tonal shifts. Early scenes in Jimmy's life are bathed in soft, warm tones, yellows, browns, and faded reds, emphasizing his modest, earthbound existence. As the tuxedo enters the story, the palette shifts sharply. Cool blues, deep blacks, and high-contrast lighting dominate, especially in action scenes, creating an aesthetic echo of the shift in Jimmy's self-perception. Cinematographer David Franco played a subtle but significant role in this transformation, using lens flares, reflective surfaces, and even shifting camera angles to highlight the hyperreality of the tuxedo's influence. Delving into post-production, editors faced a unique challenge in balancing pace with clarity. Given the film's fast dialogue, rapid action beats, and tonal shifts, maintaining coherence was no small task. Early test screenings revealed that viewers were sometimes overwhelmed by how quickly the plot moved between absurd comedy and genuine peril. In response, editors slowed down certain sequences, not by reducing footage, but by reordering moments for better emotional rhythm. A prime example of this is the scene where Jimmy discovers the tuxedo's capabilities through a comically orchestrated dance sequence in his apartment. Originally placed much earlier in the film, it was moved to after his first mission failure, making it feel like a training montage rather than a random gag. This minor reordering added emotional payoff without changing a single shot. The supporting cast also contributed significantly to the film's production energy. Jennifer Love Hewitt, known primarily for romantic dramas and thrillers at the time, brought a sharp-tongued intelligence to Del Blaine. Her behind-the-scenes rapport with Jackie helped shape their on-screen chemistry. During filming, the two improvised several comedic exchanges that made it into the final cut, including their chaotic mission planning scene in the janitor's closet. Director Kevin Donovan encouraged these improvisations, believing that spontaneity would help the characters feel more grounded in the midst of fantastical plot mechanics. Even the villain, Richie Costa's Diedrich Banning, had unexpected depth added during production. Originally written as a one-dimensional pharmaceutical tycoon, Costa worked with the writers to add layers of charisma and disturbing calm to the character. His performance was so nuanced that several scenes were rewritten to give him more screen time, including the chilling boardroom monologue where he explains the logic of poisoning the world's water. It's a performance that stands in sharp contrast to the film's otherwise comedic tone, adding gravitas and danger just when the audience needs to be reminded of the stakes. When it came time to market the Tuxedo, the production leaned heavily into Jackie Chan's persona. Trailers emphasized his stunt work and the gadgetry, downplaying the film's more nuanced character arcs. Behind-the-scenes featurettes, however, gave fans a glimpse into the immense preparation and creativity that went into every scene. Interviews with Jackie often included him breaking down how a single fight might take days to perfect, not just for safety, but to get the comedic timing just right. And that's what made the Tuxedo unique. It wasn't content to just be flashy. It wanted to be funny, heartfelt, and thrilling, all at once. And the production never stopped pushing toward that strange but compelling goal. In the end, the Tuxedo may not have rewritten the rules of cinema, but it bent them in unexpected ways. It fused old-school physicality with new-age tech, honored slapstick while exploring existential identity, and wrapped it all in a bow tie of action-packed absurdity. Every creative decision, every risk taken behind the scenes, and every technical workaround contributed to a film that dared to ask, what happens when the suit wears you? In the midst of its absurd gadgetry, high-flying action, and Jackie Chan's signature physicality, the Tuxedo is more than just a fast-paced action comedy. Beneath the surface, the film explores deeper layers of identity, control, and self-discovery, weaving in symbolic elements and themes that reflect a wider commentary on society. It's a narrative that's not only about a man discovering the extraordinary through a magical tuxedo. It's about what happens when we confront the limitations of who we are versus who we want to be. The tuxedo itself, a suit imbued with technological power, serves as both a symbol of this duality and a mirror to Jimmy's journey of transformation. From the moment Jimmy Tong first steps into the tuxedo, the suit's transformation from a simple piece of clothing to an instrument of extreme action becomes symbolic of his internal conflict. Jimmy, a modest cab driver with little sense of self-worth, is thrust into a world of espionage and danger, where a suit, something as simple as clothing, becomes a metaphor for power, control, and escape. The tuxedo is a constant reminder that he is wearing someone else's persona, embodying a version of himself that is more confident, more skilled, and more capable. Yet, as Jimmy's journey unfolds, it becomes clear that the tuxedo cannot define him, no matter how much he may try to lean on it. In the end, the tuxedo may enhance his physical abilities, but it does nothing to alter his deeper insecurities, and it is only through accepting who he truly is, flaws and all, that he can fully succeed. This inner conflict taps into a central theme, the tension between external appearances and internal reality. Jimmy's transformation is one of surface-level perception versus inner truth. On the outside, he's suddenly capable of amazing feats, but inside, he's still the same awkward, uncertain man he was at the start. This mirrors a broader societal message about the pressures of appearances and the temptation to rely on external symbols of success, whether it's a sleek car, a designer suit, or in this case, a high-tech tuxedo. The film, through its humor and absurdity, challenges the idea that who we are on the outside can define our worth or our capability. It's a reminder that true transformation is about understanding oneself, not relying on gadgets, appearances, or external validation. In addition to its exploration of identity, the tuxedo also offers a subtle commentary on power and control. The tuxedo, with its sleek design and technological wizardry, is a tool of manipulation. It has the power to control Jimmy's every movement, guiding him through situations he's ill-equipped to handle. In this way, the tuxedo becomes a symbol of both empowerment and submission, an object that gives Jimmy power, but at the cost of his own agency. Throughout the film, there is a constant push and pull between freedom and control. Jimmy must ultimately decide whether to rely on the tuxedo's power or find his own strength. This dynamic is amplified by the film's villain, Diedrich Banning, whose pursuit of the tuxedo is driven by a desire for control over others. His motives are rooted in the belief that technology, whether in the form of a powerful suit or chemical warfare, can grant him dominion over people. The contrast between Banning's cold, calculated desire for control and Jimmy's reluctant, accidental journey towards self-empowerment underscores a critical theme about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the way technological advancements can be misused. The tuxedo, when placed in the wrong hands, becomes a tool of destruction, a means to impose control on the world. This, too, serves as a social commentary on the ethical dilemmas of technology. How much control are we willing to hand over to machines, and at what cost? The symbolism of the tuxedo also extends to its role in Jimmy's relationship with Dell Blaine. Dell, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, represents the world Jimmy is thrust into, one of espionage, danger, and sophistication. She is everything Jimmy is not: confident, competent, and comfortable in her role as a spy. Yet, Dell's relationship with Jimmy reflects a more personal journey of growth, as she begins to see him not as a clumsy, bumbling man, but as someone with untapped potential. Their dynamic is symbolic of how relationships, when nurtured, can help people shed their illusions of inadequacy and realize their true worth. In a way, Dell is the catalyst for Jimmy's self-discovery, challenging him to embrace his own humanity and stop hiding behind the facade of the tuxedo. This theme of transformation is reflected in the visual language of the film. The tuxedo itself is an object of sleek, polished design, representing the ideal of refinement and sophistication. But as Jimmy wears it, it becomes increasingly clear that the tuxedo is not a perfect solution, it's more of a crutch. The suit's powers, while spectacular, also come with their own limitations. At one point, the tuxedo malfunctions, and Jimmy is left vulnerable, exposed in a way that mirrors his internal struggle. The malfunctioning tuxedo forces Jimmy to confront the reality that no external object can provide a permanent solution to his problems. He must learn to rely on his own instincts, to overcome the limitations of the suit and embrace his own abilities. The symbolism here is rich and layered, suggesting that while technology and external appearances may provide a temporary escape or boost, true power comes from within. The tuxedo also comments on the role of technology in shaping modern identities. In a world increasingly dominated by digital interfaces, social media, and virtual realities, the film taps into the anxiety that technology may one day define who we are. The tuxedo, an object imbued with the power to control and manipulate, becomes a symbol of how technology can influence our choices and actions. It reflects a fear of losing control over our own identities, of becoming mere puppets to machines and gadgets. But the film's resolution offers hope. Jimmy's final triumph comes not through his reliance on the tuxedo, but through his ability to embrace his authentic self. The film, with all its gadgetry and humor, ultimately calls for a return to human connection and self-awareness in an age where technology often overshadows both. The relationship between Jimmy and Dell, too, speaks to larger societal issues. While Dell initially views Jimmy as an incompetent civilian, she begins to see him for who he truly is, beyond the limitations of his appearances or the tuxedo. This shift mirrors societal conversations around class, gender, and expectations. Jimmy's initial clumsiness, framed as comedic, is actually a commentary on how society often dismisses people based on superficial judgments. Over the course of the film, Jimmy earns Dell's respect by proving his worth not through physical prowess or technological assistance, but through his capacity for growth, learning, and empathy. In this sense, the film becomes a subtle critique of a society that often values surface-level achievements over genuine personal development. The film also explores the idea of agency within a highly regulated and structured world. Jimmy's transformation from a simple cab driver to an accidental spy speaks to the idea that anyone, no matter their background, has the potential to break free from societal expectations and step into roles of greater responsibility and self-determination. It challenges viewers to consider what would happen if they, too, stepped out of the boundaries they've set for themselves and embraced new challenges. In a world where people are often pigeonholed based on their job, class, or status, the Tuxedo suggests that personal agency and self-awareness are the true sources of power. As the tuxedo itself symbolizes both a source of empowerment and a reminder of human limitations, it serves as a mirror to Jimmy's journey. It's not the tuxedo that ultimately makes him heroic. It's his decision to accept who he truly is, flaws and all, and step into his own power. In a society increasingly driven by superficial impressions and technological advancements, the Tuxedo invites audiences to reflect on their own identity and the sources of power they rely on. It's a film that balances action and comedy with a deeper reflection on who we are, what we value, and how we navigate the complexities of modern life. In the end, the Tuxedo teaches us that while external gadgets, appearances, and technology may provide shortcuts to success, the true journey is one of self-realization, personal growth, and the courage to embrace our authentic selves. The visual style and cinematography of the Tuxedo serve as key elements in enhancing the movie's unique tone, an intriguing balance of comedy, action, and fantasy. From the very first frame, the film establishes a playful, dynamic atmosphere that invites the audience into its world. It's a world where reality bends slightly, and every moment has the potential to turn into something absurd and magical. The cinematic techniques employed throughout the film not only serve to heighten the action but also enhance the comedic undertones, allowing the story to be both thrilling and lighthearted at once. One of the standout features of the film's visual storytelling is its use of color. The tuxedo itself, a sharp contrast of black and white, becomes a central visual motif that anchors the movie's aesthetic. The clean, sleek lines of the tuxedo and its high-tech features create a sense of sophistication, but as the film progresses, the contrast between Jimmy's humble origins and the world of espionage grows more pronounced. When Jimmy, played by Jackie Chan, is first introduced, his world is filled with the muted colors of a working-class cab driver, subdued blues, browns, and grays. These colors suggest a life of mediocrity and routine. However, the moment Jimmy dons the tuxedo, the color palette shifts. The suit's pristine black and white symbolizes the entrance into a world of glamour, intrigue, and danger. The cinematography plays a pivotal role in highlighting the contrast between Jimmy's normal life and the extraordinary life the tuxedo ushers him into. In action scenes, the camera work is fast and fluid, often tracking Jimmy's movements as he stumbles through scenarios beyond his control. These moments are shot with quick, sharp cuts, amplifying the chaos and the humor of the action. For example, when Jimmy is first thrust into a high-stakes chase, the camera shifts into high gear, following the characters through tight spaces, corridors, and over rooftops with a sense of frenetic energy that matches the madness of the situation. The lensing of these sequences, often tight and dynamic, creates a visceral feel that makes the audience feel like they're right in the middle of the action, experiencing Jimmy's confusion and chaos firsthand. The cinematography also captures the exaggerated, almost cartoonish quality of the action sequences. The camera often takes on an exaggerated perspective, following every flip, roll, and dramatic leap with a heightened sense of energy. In one notable sequence, Jimmy, with the tuxedo's help, performs acrobatic feats that seem to defy the laws of physics. The camera stays just a few feet from him, amplifying the sense of both danger and absurdity. This technique emphasizes the fantastical elements of the story, presenting Jimmy's evolution from an ordinary man into an unwitting superspy as both comedic and awe-inspiring. In contrast to the high-energy action sequences, the more intimate moments between characters are filmed with a softer, more reflective approach. When Jimmy and Dell, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, share quiet moments, perhaps discussing the stakes of their mission or their budding partnership, the camera lingers more on their expressions, capturing the subtleties of their developing relationship. The lens often switches between wide shots that give a sense of space and intimacy and close-ups that focus on the characters' faces, allowing the audience to connect emotionally with their inner struggles and growth. The use of lighting also plays a crucial role in shaping the film's tone. In moments of high tension, the lighting grows more stark and dramatic, with sharp contrasts between light and shadow. These shifts in lighting serve to visually indicate the shift in tone. One moment, we're laughing at Jimmy's bumbling attempts at being a spy. The next, we're on the edge of our seats, caught up in a moment of danger or uncertainty. The balance between comedy and tension is visually reinforced, allowing the audience to stay engaged and invested in the story's ups and downs. The film's editing further contributes to its unique rhythm. Fast-paced action sequences are edited with quick, often jarring cuts that create a sense of disorientation. These moments align with the comedic aspects of the story, amplifying Jimmy's confusion and the absurdity of the situations he finds himself in. However, when the film transitions to a more reflective or emotional moment, the editing slows down. This shift allows the audience to catch their breath, both literally and figuratively, before the next wave of action or comedy comes barreling in. The editing process also ensures that the film flows smoothly between its different tones, humor, action, suspense, and drama, without ever feeling disjointed. The film's sound design and music further amplify the experience, perfectly complementing the visual style and narrative. The score, composed by Rupert Gregson-Williams, plays a crucial role in establishing the movie's playful yet action-packed tone. It's filled with whimsical, light-hearted motifs that underscore the comedic elements, particularly during moments where Jimmy's lack of experience as a spy leads to humorous mishaps. These lighter, more carefree tunes create a sense of fun, reminding the audience that this is, at its heart, a film that doesn't take itself too seriously. However, when the stakes are raised, the music takes on a more dramatic tone, reinforcing the intensity of the action sequences. The transitions between these musical cues are seamless, supporting the film's ability to balance humor with high-stakes action. In moments of quiet, reflective dialogue, the music recedes, allowing the characters' emotions and the significance of their interactions to take center stage. These shifts in the score mirror the changes in the story's tone, effectively guiding the audience through the emotional highs and lows of the film. The sound design is equally important in crafting the world of the Tuxedo. The sharp, mechanical noises of the Tuxedo as it powers up or activates add a layer of intrigue and wonder to the narrative. Every time the suit engages in one of its extraordinary feats, whether it's helping Jimmy leap over obstacles or firing a weapon, the accompanying sound effects enhance the spectacle, turning these moments into mini-milestones of technological wonder. The clink of buttons, the whir of gears, and the sudden burst of action all add to the sense that the Tuxedo is more than just a garment. It's a living, breathing character in its own right. In quieter moments, the sound design becomes more subtle, focusing on ambient noises that emphasize the intimacy of certain scenes. The rustle of fabric as Jimmy awkwardly adjusts the tuxedo, or the subtle shifts in the environment during conversations, ground the film in a sense of reality, even amidst the absurdity. These small details serve to connect the audience to the characters on a deeper level, ensuring that the comedic moments don't overshadow the emotional arcs unfolding on screen. Director Kevin Donovan's vision is one of a seamless blend of high-stakes action, humor, and heart. His approach to visual storytelling, grounded in a classic action comedy structure, gives the film a distinct flavor. He uses traditional action film techniques, quick cuts, dynamic camera work, and fast-paced editing, but infuses them with a comedic sensibility that elevates the material. The film's visual style reflects this balance, combining the elegance of a James Bond-style spy movie with the slapstick humor of a Jackie Chan vehicle. What stands out about Donovan's direction is his ability to handle the absurdity of the film's premise without allowing it to spiral into chaos. The tuxedo itself is a ridiculous device, imbued with so many high-tech features that it verges on the absurd. But Donovan manages to keep the tone light and fun, never losing sight of the film's primary goal: to entertain. He knows when to lean into the slapstick comedy and when to pull back and let the emotional beats land. This control over tone is what gives the tuxedo its unique charm, ensuring that it never becomes too silly or too serious. Ultimately, the film's cinematography, editing, sound design, and music work together to create a world that feels both grounded and fantastical. The tuxedo, as both a plot device and a symbol, is brought to life through these technical elements, and its visual prominence mirrors the larger-than-life stakes of Jimmy's journey. Every choice made behind the camera serves to enhance the central themes of the film: identity, transformation, and the balance of power and vulnerability. It's this blend of visual sophistication and comic irreverence that defines the director's vision, making the Tuxedo an unforgettable cinematic experience. The chemistry between the cast members in the Tuxedo is nothing short of magical. At the heart of the film's success lies the impeccable pairing of Jackie Chan and Jennifer Love Hewitt, two actors whose contrasting personalities and unique energy complement each other beautifully. From the very first moment they share the screen, their connection is palpable, and it's this dynamic that fuels the story, adding layers of charm and humor to what could otherwise have been a standard action comedy. Chan's physicality and commitment to the comedic action sequences are perfectly balanced by Hewitt's more grounded and approachable performance, bringing out the best in both characters. Jackie Chan, known for his martial arts mastery and charismatic on-screen presence, brings a playful vulnerability to the role of Jimmy Tong. His character is an ordinary cab driver thrust into extraordinary circumstances, and Chan's ability to navigate both physical comedy and more tender emotional beats is crucial in creating a relatable and compelling protagonist. There is a natural awkwardness to Chan's portrayal of Jimmy, which makes his journey of self-discovery all the more endearing. His performance is also infused with the trademark Jackie Chan humor, his face often contorting into exaggerated expressions as he stumbles through high-pressure situations, creating moments that make the audience both laugh and root for him. Jennifer Love Hewitt, on the other hand, plays Del Blaine, the intelligent and resourceful agent who is more than capable of handling the high-stakes espionage world in which she operates. Her chemistry with Chan works because she provides a sharp contrast to his more bumbling character. Del is calm, composed, and emotionally steady, traits that make her a perfect foil to Jimmy's disarray. However, as their partnership develops, Del's character also reveals a playful side, especially when she's forced to rely on Jimmy's bumbling charm. Hewitt's delivery is sharp and confident, with just enough lightness to allow her character to grow alongside Jimmy without losing her sense of self. The subtle shift in their dynamic, starting from professional distance and evolving into a close, trusting partnership, drives the film's emotional core, giving the story a balance of humor and heart. Beyond the lead performances, the supporting cast also plays a crucial role in elevating the movie. The interactions between the cast members, especially in the moments of tension or comedic relief, are woven seamlessly into the story, creating an atmosphere where the audience feels like they are part of the unfolding drama. Characters like Clark Devlin, played by Jason Isaacs, and the film's eccentric villain, Mr. Choi, portrayed by Marco, contribute to the sense of danger and intrigue, while also providing opportunities for lighter, more absurd moments. Isaacs, with his smooth, deceptive charm, provides an unsettling presence on screen, embodying the suave and secretive nature of his character. Marco, who plays the enigmatic Mr. Choi, adds gravitas to his role, imbuing his character with both menace and depth, which contrasts perfectly with the more comedic tone of the film. One of the defining aspects of the cast's collective performance is how naturally they play off one another, whether in moments of tension or laughter. The film's success lies in its ability to effortlessly move between genres, from fast-paced action to slapstick comedy to heartfelt moments of connection between the characters. This balance is in large part due to the chemistry between the actors, who expertly adapt to each shift in tone without missing a beat. Every moment between Chan and Hewitt feels authentic, and their mutual trust and support allow the film's more fantastical elements to resonate with emotional truth. Behind the scenes, the film's chemistry extended beyond the actors themselves, shaping how the film came together. Director Kevin Donovan's collaboration with his cast was integral to crafting the film's lighthearted, yet suspenseful tone. Chan, known for doing his own stunts, brought his physical prowess and years of experience in action films to every sequence. But behind the carefully choreographed fight scenes and comedic pratfalls, it was clear that the director was intent on creating a space where improvisation could thrive. In interviews, both Chan and Hewitt have spoken about how much of the film's comedic energy came from their on-set interactions, moments where they would riff off each other, improvising lines and reactions that helped bring their characters to life. This spontaneity contributed to the film's natural flow, with Chan's quick-wittedness and Hewitt's delivery combining to form a seamless comedic rhythm. The production of the Tuxedo was not without its challenges, however. Filming action sequences in the iconic Jackie Chan style was no easy feat, especially considering Chan's penchant for performing his own stunts. The physical demands placed on Chan were immense, and at times, the set became a battleground of sorts, where every fight scene required precise coordination and timing. One particularly memorable behind-the-scenes anecdote involves the sequence where Chan's character has to navigate through a high-speed car chase, all while wearing the technologically advanced tuxedo. The stunts were so complex that they required multiple takes, with Chan often pushing himself to perform even the most dangerous moves on his own, much to the awe and concern of the crew. Fortunately, his years of experience and meticulous training allowed him to pull off the stunts without injury, though there were a few close calls. Despite the challenges, the film's playful and carefree nature never faltered. Chan's tireless dedication to his craft infused the movie with a sense of fun and energy that remained infectious, even during long hours on set. The collaboration between the actors, crew, and director was vital in ensuring that the movie never lost sight of its comedic heart. The final result was a film that exuded an effortless charm, largely due to the authenticity of its on-screen relationships. Audience reactions to the Tuxedo were mixed but largely positive, especially in terms of the film's ability to entertain and engage viewers. At the time of its release, the film was praised for its light-hearted approach to the spy genre and its fresh take on the classic ordinary man-turned-hero trope. Fans of Jackie Chan, in particular, found joy in watching the martial arts icon navigate a completely different kind of action comedy landscape, one that allowed him to showcase his comedic timing as much as his physical abilities. His performance was often singled out as one of the highlights, with many commenting on how seamlessly he blended his trademark martial arts with slapstick humor. Critics, while acknowledging the film's broad appeal and fun factor, pointed out the predictability of the plot and its reliance on formulaic tropes. Yet, even with these critiques, the performances, particularly the chemistry between Chan and Hewitt, received widespread praise. The film's quirky premise and its comedic execution also contributed to its enduring popularity. Audiences appreciated its escapism, viewing it as a fun, light-hearted film that didn't take itself too seriously, offering a perfect balance between action and comedy. Long-term fan engagement with the Tuxedo has proven to be more significant than originally anticipated. Over time, the film has built a cult following, with fans returning to it for its mix of action, humor, and heart. The movie has become a nostalgic favorite for those who grew up watching Jackie Chan movies in the early 2000s, cementing its place as a staple of the action comedy genre. The Tuxedo itself, symbolizing the transformation of an everyman into an action hero, has become an iconic object in its own right, representing the limitless potential of an ordinary person thrust into an extraordinary world. The humor and heart of the Tuxedo resonate with viewers even years after its release. The film's themes of personal growth, friendship, and unexpected heroism continue to make it a timeless exploration of what it means to step out of one's comfort zone. Ultimately, the Tuxedo's enduring popularity is a testament to the strength of its cast's chemistry, the quality of the performances, and the light-hearted nature of the film. It's a film that continues to delight audiences, providing both a window into the wacky world of espionage and a reminder of the power of finding one's inner hero, no matter how absurd the circumstances may be. As we draw to a close, the Tuxedo emerges as more than just a fun action comedy. It is a perfect blend of humor, heart, and high-energy escapism. Jackie Chan's unforgettable performance as Jimmy Tong, the bumbling cab driver turned international spy, offers a captivating journey of self-discovery, while Jennifer Love Hewitt's portrayal of Del Blaine provides the perfect balance of intelligence, charisma, and charm. The film's blend of martial arts, slapstick humor, and tech-driven espionage creates a unique narrative experience that continues to delight both casual viewers and Jackie Chan fans alike. The film's magic lies in its ability to seamlessly balance the absurd with the heartfelt. The Tuxedo itself, a symbol of transformation, is central to the narrative. It allows Jimmy to become a spy, but more importantly, it helps him discover who he is and what he's capable of. The journey of an ordinary man being thrust into extraordinary circumstances is nothing new in the world of cinema. But the Tuxedo takes this premise and injects it with a playful energy that sets it apart from other films in the genre. It is not just about the action, the comedy, or the gadgets. It is about the relationship between two people who start off as strangers and grow into an inseparable team. The film also stands out because of its light-hearted approach to espionage. While other spy films take themselves seriously, the Tuxedo embraces the outlandish. From high-speed chases to martial arts sequences and out-of-this-world gadgets, the movie never shies away from being fantastical. Yet, in its heart, it maintains a sense of warmth and relatability, making it an entertaining ride that doesn't require deep thinking but rewards with fun, laughter, and a little bit of heartfelt emotion. Visually, the film is a marvel. The tech-driven gadgets and sleek tuxedos add a layer of sophistication, while the fast-paced action and comedy sequences never lose sight of the light-hearted tone. The creative design of the tuxedo itself, equipped with the latest technology, perfectly mirrors the film's playful nature. There's an almost cartoonish quality to the action sequences, but this is part of what makes the film so enjoyable. The stunts are performed with a mixture of precision and comedy that only Jackie Chan could pull off, delivering moments of sheer physical comedy, topped with his signature martial arts style. What makes the Tuxedo stand the test of time is the way it doesn't take itself too seriously. The film never forgets its roots as an action comedy, but it also recognizes that at its core, it's about the character's growth and the friendships that develop along the way. Chan and Hewitt's performances are pitch-perfect, and together, they create a dynamic that carries the story beyond its action set pieces. Their performances feel effortless, and the evolution of their characters, whether it's Jimmy learning to trust Dell, or Dell letting her guard down, creates a story that resonates emotionally, even amidst the chaos. The supporting cast also deserves praise, with Jason Isaacs and Marco providing the necessary tension and gravitas to complement the more light-hearted performances. Their characters, while playing into the typical tropes of spies and villains, also serve to move the narrative forward and enhance the stakes, making the film more than just a collection of gags and stunts. In the grand scheme of action comedies, the Tuxedo stands out for its charm and its blend of genres. It doesn't try to reinvent the wheel, but instead, it delivers a fun, self-aware adventure that audiences can't help but enjoy. It's a film that plays with the conventions of spy films, offering humor and action in equal measure while reminding us that sometimes, all it takes is a tuxedo and a little bit of belief in yourself to become the hero. As we take a step back and look at what the Tuxedo has to offer, it's clear that the movie will always have a special place in the hearts of those who appreciate the art of fun, light-hearted escapism. It remains a film that can be revisited time and time again, offering something new with each watch, whether it's catching a clever bit of dialogue, a hilarious physical gag, or simply the joy of seeing an underdog become a hero. The legacy of the Tuxedo endures not because it's a groundbreaking film, but because it knows exactly what it is and revels in that simplicity. It's a movie that doesn't overstay its welcome or try to be something it's not. It's simply a good time, one that delivers laughs, thrills, and a healthy dose of nostalgia. So, the next time you want to escape into a world of espionage, action, and humor, don't forget about the Tuxedo. It may just be the perfect antidote to a long day or the ideal film for a night of fun with friends. If you loved this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together.